winning becomes like a habit.
Yeah.
It's just, and like I've watched again every Chiefs game this year, they all feel the same.
Yeah.
Like
every single one.
Every single one of them, and like that builds like literally a muscle memory. It builds a psychological memory of what we do and how we do it. And they get in these situations and they're not blinking, they're not worried. This is all natural. This is what it should happen. Okay, yeah, we just went down by 2 points here, and there's still 12 minutes to play. We'll go get a score. We'll get a stop. We might get another score and fuck it up. I mean, it's just what they do. And, like, that's that thing. I mean, when you find a good rhythm in whatever it is that you're doing, don't do anything to divert that.
We have my Chiefs here, man. Off to a hot start, 7-0. You know, a lot of people are still they're cold on the offense and Pat Mahomes, but of course you have the defense. You know what's funny is this defense is clearly the best defense in the NFL, and if you watch it, you can see it. But none of the metrics show that, and that's so weird because a lot of times it would. Like all of the great defenses over the years, whether it's those Ravens teams, the Buccaneers team, it would show like number one. The Chiefs aren't number one in any category in defense. Yeah. In most cases, they're not even like top 3 or top 5. It's really weird.
Who's number one?
It's like it switches. You know what I mean, from category to category. And I'll look that up over here. But just on the undefeated part. You know, is that something you think that they can do?
Like undefeated regular season?
Yeah, regular season. And more so, is it something that you think that they'll even go for? You know, Andy Reid is notorious for sitting players.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think if you get to the last 2 weeks and you're still undefeated, I think you owe the game to go for it. I would say that. I think it would be very disappointing if they get to 15-0 and then sit a bunch of people. At that point, you are chasing history, and you don't have a lot of opportunities to do that. So I think you absolutely do. You owe it to the game. Yeah, I thought the Warriors owed it to, when they got where they were, they owed it to go for 73 wins.
Yeah.
And the Patriots, when they had their run that ultimately ended the Super Bowl loss, it becomes something that, might be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It happened once in 1972. That was it. And so if you have a chance to do it, you gotta. So I hope they do. Part of the way they play, they're not blowing people out. They're playing good, complementary kind of, conservative football. I could see where, a game just gets away from them and they lose. I would be, they're not a dominating team, so that being said, I could see them dropping, 2, maybe 3 games before this is over. And I do think if they, drop a game and they don't have the impetus of the undefeated season to go for, and strategically it makes sense to rest guys in the final 2 weeks, I think they'd absolutely do it, and I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But if they maintain this run, I think you gotta ride it out as long as you can, and if you get to week 15, 16, 17, you're still undefeated, you got to go for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was watching ESPN, and there was the Jeff Saturday. He of course he was the offensive lineman for the Colts, and there was one of those years where they got to like a 12, 13-0 start, and there was an internal strife in the team and the coaching staff whether they should sit players or not. They ended up sitting players and lost 2 games heading into the playoffs. And he says to this day that kills him because he was on the part of the team that wanted to go for it.
Yeah.
Let's go for it, keep the momentum, go undefeated, head into this playoffs.
Yeah.
He feels like that hurt him. They didn't win that year, and he feels like that hurt the momentum, that hurt the teams.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of the players wanted to go for it.
Winning becomes like a habit.
Yeah.
It's just, and like I've watched again every Chiefs game this year, they all feel the same.
Yeah.
Like
every single one.
Every single one of them, and like that builds like literally a muscle memory. It builds a psychological memory of what we do and how we do it. And they get in these situations and they're not blinking, they're not worried. This is all natural. This is what it should happen. Okay, yeah, we just went down by 2 points here, and there's still 12 minutes to play. We'll go get a score. We'll get a stop. We might get another score and fuck it up. I mean, it's just what they do. And, like, that's that thing. I mean, when you find a good rhythm in whatever it is that you're doing, don't do anything to divert that.
Yeah.
Just roll with it. And, like, you could look back at the end, and let's say they go kind of a little bit like the Patriots. Maybe they go 17-0, and they go into the playoffs, and maybe they lose the conference final. It sucks, but it's okay. You took your best shot. You did everything you could do. You come up short more often than you win.
Yeah,
that's
the truth.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, like, subbing a bunch of guys or sitting a bunch of guys and playing a shit game in week 15 and losing that, and then maybe you rally, get a win, then you lose again. Like, what did we do this for? It does. Sitting guys and resting guys late in the year doesn't guarantee playoff success.
It just doesn't. There's no like.
And
no
I think the just continuing on the grind in that rhythm, and when you're around a team and things are going well, it just, when you're in that flow state as a team, there's nothing beats it, and everything really feels pretty simple.
Yeah.
If you let it, if you don't get in the way of it. So don't, create artificial stupidity by just, sitting dudes or screwing around with this or that. If the machine's rolling, don't stop the machine.
Yeah, don't stop it, man. Don't stop it.
Yeah.
Here are some of the teams that have left on their schedule here. They got Tampa Bay, Monday Night Football. Of course, the Bucs have some unfortunate injuries at the receiver position. They're going to be down both of their starting guys, Godwin and Evans. Then you got Denver Broncos. Then you're at Buffalo, which is going to be a tough, interesting game. And then you have the Panthers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Chargers. Jameis. At Jameis.
It's just the whole organization.
We don't care about
now.
Yeah.
They're not the Browns anymore.
It's just Jameis.
Even Cleveland's off the
map. Houston Texans, Pittsburgh, and Denver. It's not a murderous row.
No. The Buffalo game's tricky.
Yeah.
Texans game could be interesting.
Right.
The Chargers have always kind of been a thorn in the side. So
we usually split a lot of times with the Chargers and with Herbert there.
But again, like going back to Kurt Signetti, play the moment in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, don't look at it as, these are our games. It's like Bucks on Monday, win that one.
Yeah.
Get on to the next. And that's like Belichick and the Patriot did that. On to Cincinnati,
that was his main
whatever.
thing. On to Cincinnati.
But it's when you focus on what's directly in front of you and what you can affect, you're so much better off than spending a lot of time and energy thinking and worrying about things that aren't there, that you can't do anything about.
That's for sure. Now I have the total defensive rankings pulled up here in different rankings here. So this is just total defense here. You got the Titans at 1, Texans at 2, Broncos at 3, Jets at 4, and Chiefs at 5. You see how many teams are in front of them there?
Yeah. And none of the 4 that you mentioned in front of the Chiefs, I would think immediately of playing great defense.
In pass defense, the Chiefs are 17th.
Wow.
17th. In rush defense, they're a little higher. They're number 2. Okay. In scoring defense, they're number 5 as far as how many points allowed. They're 5th. Okay. Red zone defense, they're 10th. So it's like third down defense, they're 12th. And the third down in red zone is the one that's alarming to me because I feel like the Chiefs get so many third down stops.
It does feel that way. And the game we watched together the other day, they had 7 straight plays in the 10-yard line and didn't give up a score.
Red zone defense, but they're 10th on here.
Yeah, that's
so
bizarre.
It's bizarre. So it's like the numbers don't show it this time around, but in my estimation, they're the best defense in the land.
And the other thing that's interesting too is the differential between the run and the pass defense.
Yeah,
because their games have been close. They haven't been getting big leads where teams are going to get out of character and just start slinging it, which can artificially puff up some passing numbers. The games have been typically 1, maybe 2 score games at most, where teams are still theoretically in a position to kind of run and maintain some sort of offensive balance. And that's what the disparity is. So, I don't know. The numbers you could overuse some numbers sometimes.
Yeah. Men lie, women lie. In this case, numbers lying too. So take that, Jay-Z. All right.
But I mean, I think that like when you watch the Chief defense play, they're like the way they respond to situations, the way like that, whether it's like, and again, I don't know, maybe they gave up 2 third downs to get the team up to midfield, but now when you're on the cusp of a field goal, they're not just going to stop you on third down. They're going to get a TFL, and now you're outside of field goal range and you're punting. Like just the timeliness of what they're doing. Again, coughing up an interception or something like that, and it's like the amount of times that they still salvage something positive out of that, turn a touchdown into a field goal, or turn a field goal, or just to shut them down and get the ball back without getting hurt by the turnover. It just feels like they're so timely in those areas.
Yeah,
and that's the greatness of what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, on to a guy who's not doing a lot of great things is Anthony Richardson here. He has been benched. He has been benched for Joe Flacco, and once again on the Bench Podcast, we're ahead of the curve. I'm a humongous Florida Gator fan, and I did not allow that to distract me from just Anthony Richardson just was not ready. I think that he was drafted way too high. I thought the Colts were out of their mind. And this is before I saw him play one NFL game, before he had one NFL practice. I just knew that I had him as a 4th round guy. I heard some stats today that I didn't even know at that time when I made that statement. It's mind-boggling. In high school, he had a low 50% completion rate. Yeah, that's nuts. And it was like 53. Then he got to Florida, it was 54. And which is terrible, and right now he's flirting around the low 40s in NFL. And and I know he's a freak of nature as far as athleticism. But that being his strength, athleticism being a freak of nature, and he's asking to come out of games because he's tired. So what do we have here? You gotta can't even play on his strength. Yeah. So I don't blame the coach for saying I've seen enough. They have given him enough chances, enough try. You have the Colts are in a position. The Colts are a back end playoff team. On with their roster on paper. Roster on paper, they're a back-end playoff team. That's just what they are. But without adequate quarterback play, they're drafting in the top 3 again. So you have to make this move. And Flacco, when he was in, the offense looked completely better. Yeah. And things of that nature. What do you think about it?
I guess the one thing I take issue is not ready. I'm not a huge not ready guy.
Or it's either he got it or not.
Yeah. Okay. I'm much more of a he got it or he doesn't got it.
Yeah.
Because, again, now you can improve and get better with some experience, but I'm like, he's not ready. Like, the reason he's not ready are fundamental attributes that are lacking, that aren't changing. If you're, like you said, if you're a low 50% completion guy in high school, low completion 50% guy in college, and then that trend continues in the league, like that is what you are.
Yeah.
There's nothing to get ready for. You're it. You're what you are. And then this nonsense with coming out of the game, like I've said this before, quarterback at the NFL level is the single most difficult position in any team sport. You have to be something better than presidential in terms of character to be that guy. You got to be a guy that is constantly pushing your team forward. You got to be a guy that when things are bad, you're still optimistic. Hey, we're going to get the ball back. We're going to do this. When you're hurt, you can't be hurt. Like, unless it's you could be injured, but you can't be hurt.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking for excuses out of the number 1 spot. And that's what you are. And if the guys that are good at it, they get that. Yeah. And they live up to that. And that's them every week. And they earn respect in their locker rooms, and they lead their teams by those characteristics, as well as their game talent, their arm talent, and that sort of stuff, and their preparation. But it doesn't fly if you don't bring that to the table. And I don't think he recovers from this. I think at most he kind of bounces around a couple teams as a project, and I don't think he's ever a successful starter in the league after this benching. That's not to say I'm not saying that he will not, that he'll never start a game again. I think he'll probably, due to injury or whatever, somebody will give him a look here or there. But his career as a QB1 is over.
Oh, wow.